So Rob Pelinka absolutely killed it with this trade deadline. I mean, got an absolute haul, absolute return. I mean, we had 5 players completely turned over during this trade deadline. We had, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and then D'Angelo Russell in the big Russell Westbrook deal. We got Mo Bamba for essentially Thomas Bryant's replacement, which I think really helps. And then we also got Devon Reed, who is a sizable shooting guard, 3-and-D style. Don't think we'll get a ton of rotation, but definitely a guy that in spots could really come in and make an impact. Shoots 38% from 3. We got and solved most of our issues, right? We stayed young. We stayed athletic. We got a 3-level scorer in D'Lo to be the third option, which we really needed. You got a versatile, do-everything type of defender in Jared Vanderbilt. You got an absolute sniper in Malik Beasley. You got a young shot-blocking center that could play alongside or back up Anthony Davis and Mo Bamba. I mean, what more could you want? And that's not even talking about the Rui Hachimura deal that happened earlier. So the beauty is we swapped essentially 6 players for 6 players. And with that, we still have an available roster spot. And the big question is, well, what are we going to do with that? The buyout market, right? So with the buyout market, we're very likely going to be able to find some type of vet and a serious need for the Lakers, right? A great example was the year that we won the NBA Finals. We got Markieff Morris, and he was a huge impact. He immediately became a rotation player and was an actual asset for us that helped us win an NBA championship. So the idea is like, hey, we got this young core. We got all of this talent. Let's go get a veteran. Let's go get a guy out of the buyout market, preferably a wing or somebody that can be a 3-and-D style, somebody that can be a scorer, and we'll see what type of options are. Well, of course, as soon as we got done with the NBA trade deadline, there were rumors and reports of guys that are going to be bought out. So I wanted to talk about 3 specific guys that are rumored to or already being worked on a buyout that the Lakers could potentially snag. I'm going to put them in order of the likeliness that I think that we will get them. And diving right into it, without further ado, let's talk about Will Barton. So Will Barton, his production with the Wizards has really dropped. He hasn't really gotten a ton of playing time like he once was as of late, but he is a 38% three-point shooter. He's averaging about 7-8 points per game. He's a guy that's got 6'5", 6'6", size, length, 3-and-D style, which is just a savvy vet. He's still 32 years old, so he's not like super old. He's not 34, 35, 36, but he's a guy that I think could really come in and make a viable impact. Here's the thing, is that personally, I think he's going to the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are going to be a hotbed for just the buyout market in general, because they are very thin and need a lot of players. So you're going to get guys. One of the big things that Will Barton was his issue and why he wants to be bought out is the lack of playing time and how his production and his play time on the court is shrinking more and more. So he wants to go to a place where he's going to get a lot of playing time, which very likely is the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns need all the help they can get. Will Barton would be a nice addition. Again, 3-and-D style, veteran type player that could play next to KD, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker. But for the Lakers, if for whatever reason he'd be willing to come in, I think you do it. You get guard forward. I understand, we would love a 6'8", right, sizable 3-and-D guy, but you're not going to get that on the buyout market. That's something that people need to understand about the buyout market. You're very rarely are you going to find a Markieff Morris on the buyout market, a guy that has 6'8" size, can play both forward spots, physical, just burly. Like, you usually aren't. It's usually the Will Bartons, the veterans that are towards the end of their career, or just they're a rotation guy but just want out. Will Barton, I think, would be a nice addition to the Lakers. I think he's a guy that could really help. Just a year ago with the Denver Nuggets, he was averaging just under 15 a game. So he's a guy that, if given the proper minutes, if given the proper role, he could be a valuable sort of piece. A veteran that has been there, he's been in the playoffs, he's had runs, he's hit shots. He could be very good. He could immediately, if the Lakers wanted to, because there's a lot of questions about like that starting shooting guard position. Do you go Austin Reeves? Do you go Beasley? Right? Having Beasley off the bench would give you another shooter. Well, if you went and got a guy like Will Barton, he could immediately be your starting shooting guard. and you have that veteran that can play some defense alongside D'Lo, alongside LeBron, alongside Rui and Anthony Davis to round out that starting lineup, I don't think he'd be bad. But I just think very likely all signs, all reports kind of seem like he's headed to the Phoenix Suns. So we'll see. Moving on is an old favorite, Danny Green. Now, Danny Green, I'm sure some people are looking at it as like, no way, no Danny Green, this, that, and the other, right? But got to keep in mind, yes, I understand he's 35 years old. He's just coming off of injury, but he's a guy that we know can play some solid defense, handle the ball, hit big shots, do everything. A guy that could be a factor, a guy that has won a championship, has won multiple championships, but won a championship with us, right? So he's a guy that I think could really kind of be a key fixture here. There's even reports that Danny Green, that the Lakers are interested in picking back up Danny Green, and that Danny Green would actually be interested in going back to the Lakers. He's a guy, immediately, you could have him be your starting shooting guard, right? 3-and-D style. He can't be worse than some of the other guys, right? Again, you're not going to get these big marquee headliner type shooting guards or small forwards or whatever, right? The buyout market's very thin. You also have a lot of teams that also want guys too. You have a lot of teams that are contending that want these veterans. So if you're the Lakers, you got to take what you can get, right? If you could find a guy that has the locker room experience, that has championship experience, that has hit big shots at big moments, that can play defense, that knows the role, that would fit next to LeBron James, that would fit next to Anthony Davis, that could start, he can come off the bench, do whatever you need him to do. Danny Green is really, wouldn't be the worst. Danny Green would be very good. Now, obviously, if there may be better options, because Danny Green is kind of, he's not what he once was. But a nice little solid vet could really go a long way, in my opinion. We got a lot of youth, which is great, right? We got a lot of young talent for now and the future. But it would be nice to have those vets. We're in a game 7 against, whomever. Let's say the Memphis Grizzlies or something. We're in a game 7. It's a tie game. Who are you trusted more? The guy in Danny Green, who's hit the big shots, who's been the big star, who, he's been in these moments. You understand what it takes. Or Austin Reeves, who's never even been in the playoffs. Personally, I would rather go with Danny Green. I'd rather trust Danny Green that if we need a stop or we need a big shot or we need whatever, that he's done it. This is just another day in the office for him. I don't mind the idea of Danny Green. He's also a veteran that's not going to demand a bunch of minutes. Like Will Barton wants to play. He's going to go to a place that gives him the most minutes. Danny Green, like if he has a DMP one night, he's not going to complain. He's not going to be like, hey, I don't want Austin Reeves starting ahead of me. I don't want, Beasley. Like I'm the vet. I'm 35 years old. I've been here, blah, 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 blah. You don't want that, right? You want a guy that understands, okay, this is what I'm coming into. This is the idea. This is my role. Let's make that happen. So I really like the idea of Danny Green. I just think that this person would be so much better. And that person is Terence Ross. I really wanted them to get Terence Ross in the Mo Bamba deal. I was like, how much more could Terence Ross have cost? But it looks like the Lakers didn't want to do that because it looked like that the Magic are going to buy out Terence Ross. Which if that's the case, that's great. She's talking about he's still 32 years old, right? So he's not super old. He's not like Danny Green at 35. He's a guy that could get you, 10 to 15 points a game on any given night. Shooting guard with size, 6'6", 6'7". Good wingspan, could play the shooting guard, small forward, immediately be your starter if you needed him to be. He's been just impeccable the last few years. He's, once again, shooting 38% from 3 this year. He's shooting 50% from the floor overall, giving you about 8 points per game. He's a guy that's averaged 15 on multiple occasions. He averages 11 for his career, but that was also, a lot of it was his earlier years, when he was first starting. But he had a stretch of like 3 years where he had 15 a game. 2 years ago, he averaged 10, and then this year, he's averaging 8. He's a guy that just really can just come in, add a spark, can create his own shot. Again, a guy that can score at all 3 levels. He's not like an elite guy, but he's a guy that when he's on, he's on. We've seen, if you've ever followed Terence Ross or you've watched some games, or I'm sure there's highlights and stuff about it, go look up some of those. Like when Terence Ross is on, he might be one of the best shooters in the league. I mean, he's one of those guys, like if he knocks down 1 or 2 threes in a row, watch out. He's a guy that'll hit 7, 8 threes in a game. So he's a guy that I think can come in, again, a savvy vet, a guy. I really like the idea of a vet in that role, because if you look at all of our lineup now, right? I mean, we're all essentially young except for AD and LeBron. The average age is 27 years old now, or 26 years old for this team. Like, we are young, which is fine. I'm okay with us being, that youthful. We need that. But it would be nice to have that veteran that, one, LeBron would trust, one that has been there, one that, okay, he can knock down the shot, he can make the big play, he could do things like that. I really like the idea of Terence Ross, or like a Danny Green, or like a Will Barton. He could start, he could come off the bench. If he has a DMP, he's not going to complain, he's not going to cry. He's a guy that I really think Terence Ross can make a huge impact on this team. A guy that can just catch and shoot, knock it down, but also, hey, dude, we need a bucket. Here you go. Here's the ball. Go to work. Let's see it. And he could just go slice and dice and go get a bucket. He can operate in the mid-range. He can knock it down from the three. He can get to the hoop. I think Terence Ross would be fantastic. A guy night in and night out that if you need him to, he can go get you 15. We might not need him to go get us 15 a night, but he can. And he's still a serviceable defender. He's not like some elite defender, but he's good enough. He might be better than most of the guys that we have. And I think that I think that he would be, in my opinion, one of the best acquisitions that we could get as far as like buyout market is concerned, right? I think he's a guy that could come in, really kind of establish himself, really provide some veteran experience, be a guy that if we get down to it, again, a game, I look at this roster and I think about the roster and I think like minute left, tie game, who are you trusting outside of LeBron and AD? Who are you trusting? D'Lo, he's a guy that's been there. He has experience. He's been in the playoffs. Yes, I think he could hit the big shots. He's not afraid of the moment. But it'd be nice to have so who are your catch and shoot guys? Who are the guys that, let's say for whatever reason, let's say we are in the finals, game 7 of the finals, tie game, minute left. Who are you trusting? You trusted Danny Green to knock down that shot, or you trusting Austin Reeves? I would go with the vet that has been there and done it. I would go with the guy that's been in that situation that has knocked it down. You need that veteran. You need that locker room, especially we lost Patrick Beverley, which I'm not really against, but it'd be nice to kind of put some veterans around our young core. But anyway, I think that these three currently, obviously there's going to be more names that are out there. Obviously there are going to be more people that arise. There are going to be people that we don't even see getting bought out, that probably get bought out. It's usually how it goes. I think this buyout market is going to be very plentiful. I think there's going to be a lot of talent on the buyout market. I think we're going to see a lot of players that we may be able to get. Now, obviously, again, a team like the Phoenix Suns, they're going to get probably a good majority of guys on the buyout. They are, because they're just so thin. They need several guys. They need at least, 3 or 4 guys that could help and kind of solidify that rotation. So expect them to be big buyers in the buyout market. You're going to have other teams that could use, another piece or two to kind of round out their playoff rotation, because that's what this time is. This time is for the playoff rotations, right? And team like the Lakers, we could use 1, maybe 2 veteran style guys. I wouldn't mind it. Especially guys like Troy Brown. I love Troy Brown. I think he's been solid for us, but realistically, he's probably going to be completely out of the rotation. So do you waive him if you could get say a Terence Ross and a Will Barton? If you could get those 2 guys, I would rather do that. You know what I mean? I'd rather make that happen because these are 2 veteran guys that have been there, knock it down, been there, done that. But we'll see. But again, I'm sure more guys will be on the horizon, so look forward to that. These are just the 3 guys that immediately got mentioned, and I was like, all 3 of these guys would be really nice for the Lakers. So I'll definitely do more of these videos. If you have anybody in mind specifically that you would love to see bought out, let me know down in the comment section below, and maybe I'll add them to the next wave of 3 or 5 guys that I could see on the buyout market. But anyway, what do you think about these 3 guys? Which of these 3 guys would be your favorite? Is there one guy that stands out to you? Would you love either of the 3? Or do you think, no, none of these 3, there's somebody else? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments section below.